Good evening. I thought I'd read a poem tonight, and seeing as it's Black History Month, I'll read a poem by I think an important African-American writer, Sterling A. Brown. And when I read some poems on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, there were many poets that I would have liked to reference from that period, as well as musicians and all sorts of interesting people that emerged. And so Sterling A. Brown was actually he was an academic and taught at Harvard for much of his life. And so he actually just died in 1989. So he's one of the interesting things about this poem I'm going to read is he tried to capture the sounds of the, I guess, folk culture around him. And not everyone that was connected to the Harlem Renaissance or the African-American movement appreciated this. I know W.E.B. Du Bois did not like these writers trying to use slang in their poetry, but I think it's pretty powerful. And so I'm going to read a poem about Ma Rainey, who was a blues singer. Some of you may be familiar with Ma Rainey. She influenced and toured with Louis Armstrong, as well as Bessie Smith. Bessie Smith originally joined as a dancer and eventually became a singer. And so this is a poem about Ma Rainey. And I, as a white guy, I kind of apologize. I'm reading this poem because I appreciate these poets and I want people to hear them and read them and look them up. But I can't do justice to this poem. And I certainly wouldn't want to. I want to respect these artists for who they were and what they've given to us. And so I read them with that kind of spirit in mind, hopefully. And so this is about Ma Rainey and some of her blues music. And hopefully you'll like it as well as I do. When Ma Rainey comes to town, folks from any place miles round, from Cape Girardeau, Poplar Bluff, folks in to hear Ma do her stuff. Comes flivering in or riding mules or packed in trains, picnicking fools. That's what it's like for miles on down to New Orleans Delta and Mobiletown when Hot Ma hits anywheres around. They comes to hear Ma Rainey from the Little River settlements, from black bottom corn rows and lumber camps. They stumble into hall just a-laughing and a-cackling, cheering like roaring water, like wind in river swamps. And some jokers keep their laughs a-going into crowded aisles, and some folks sit there waiting with their arches and miseries till Ma comes out before them, a smiling, gold-toothed smile. Long boy ripples miners on the black and yellow keys. Oh, Ma Rainey, sing your song. Now you's back where you belong. Get way inside us. Keep us strong. Oh, Ma Rainey, little and low. Sing us about the hard luck round our door. Sing us about the lonesome road we must go. I talked to a fellow, and the fellow say, she just catch a hold of us some kind of way. She sang backwater blues one day. It rained for days and the skies was dark as night, trouble taken in the lowlands at night. Thundered and lightning, and the storm began to roll. Thousands of people ain't got no place to go. Then I went down, stood on some high old lonesome hill, and I looked on the place where I used to live. And then folks, they naturally bowed their heads and cried. Bowed their heads, shut their mouths, and cried. And Marty left the stage and followed some of the folks outside. There was just not much more a fellow could say. She just gets a hold of us that kind of way. Ma Rainey. So, and I would encourage you to listen to Backwater Blues and listen to Ma Rainey, Bessie Smith, some of these other wonderful blues artists. And you can probably find, I'll look and see if I can find Sterling Brown reading his poetry, because I have some recordings of him as well. And so hopefully that blesses you. And just so many great artists in the Harlem Renaissance. And maybe I'll try to read some more of their poetry. So many of them speak so deeply to me about suffering and know it from the inside out. And many of us, even if we've known some suffering, we may not know how to always communicate it in a way that gets way down inside us. So bless you. Thank you. Have a good night.